Hey guys, in this video we're going to be taking a peek at some more inverse algebraic proportion questions. So if you haven't checked out the introduction on direct and inverse proportion at the start of the playlist, go back, check out that, because I go into a bit more detail there about proportion than I'm going to in this video. In this really we're just going to be looking at some different types of questions, but we will do a tiny bit of revision here first. So when two things are inversely proportional, it's the complete opposite of direct proportion. So when two things are in direct proportion, if one increases in value, so does the other. If one decreases in value, so does the other too. When two things are inversely proportional, our two variables alter in different ways. So let's say we got y and x being inversely proportional to each other, then as y increases, x decreases, and vice versa. If x increases, y increases. So when two variables are inversely proportional, the proportion that we use, again we're just using y and x here as an example, we write down y is proportional to 1 over x. So remember, as the number on the bottom of a fraction increases in value, the value of the actual fraction itself decreases. So, for example, 1 over 10 is much smaller than 1 over 2. So as x is getting bigger there, the value of that fraction is getting smaller, so the value of y is getting smaller. And the equation that we use then is y equals k over x. Again, where k is our constant of proportionality, it's just a number that tells us exactly how these two numbers are related. When we say they're proportional, we don't know the exact formula linking them together. But when we found this number k, we then do know the exact formula. We no longer have to say that they are proportional because we know the exact formula linking the two together. Okay, let's get going with some questions then. So, example 1. So, when y is inversely proportional to x, when x is 5, y is equal to 4, find the value of x when y equals 9. So how do we attack this sort of question then? Well, let's do it a sentence at a time. So this top sentence tells us the type of proportion we're dealing with. So from that, we can write down that y is proportional to 1 over x. And the equation then that we're going to be using is y is equal to k over x. So that's the first sentence dealt with. That tells us our proportion and the equation that we're going to be using. Now the next sentence tells us our initial conditions. So when x is equal to 5, y is equal to 4. So we use the initial conditions to find the value of k. So if we substitute those in then, so x is equal to 5 and y is equal to 4, that's going to give us 4 is equal to k divided by 5. Therefore, if we multiply by 5, we get k is equal to 20. And then we now know the exact formula linking y and x together because we now know the value of k. So we now know that our formula is y equals 20 divided by x. And now we can do the third sentence, the third part of the question, find the value of x when y equals 9. So, now that we've got our shiny new formula linking our two variables together, we can now use it to find the value of one variable when we know the value of the other. So here, we want to find the value of x when y equals 9, so we substitute in y equals 9, so we get 9 equals 20 divided by x. Now if we multiply by x, that gives us 9x equals 20, and then if we divide by 9, we get x equals 20 divided by 9. Now I know that's a fraction, that's an absolute fine form to leave your answer in, unless of course you're asked for it to a certain amount of decimal places, or you could write it as a mixed number. We could also write that as 2 and 2/9. Okay, jobs are good. On with the next. 3 people can paint a room in 6 hours. How long would it take 6 people? So with a question like this, you need to make a few assumptions, or you need to make one very important assumption. That is that everybody works at exactly the same rate. And adding people to the mix doesn't slow anyone down at all. So we can think about this along the lines of proportional reasoning, where we wouldn't need to use algebra. But given that we're playing algebra in this video, we'll do it the algebra. We'll use the method using algebra. So, how can we set this up then? So 3 people can paint a room in 6 hours. Well, we've got 2 variables there. We've got the number of people and we've got the time. So if we call the time t, now we can assume by our common sense that if we have more people doing the same job, it's going to take them less time. So it's an inversely proportional question because the time is inversely proportional to the number of people painting. So we can say that t is proportional to 1 over p. Okay, so that tells us then the equation we're going to be using is t equals k over p, the number of people. Now our initial conditions are 3 people take 6 hours. So p equals 3 and t equals 6. So if we substitute those in, we get 6 is equal to k divided by 3. So then if we multiply 3 by 3, we get k equals 18. Now we know the value of k, so now we know our exact formula linking time and the number of people. Time is equal to 18 divided by the number of people. So 18 hours divided by the number of people. So now we can work out how long we would expect it to take 6 people. So we just substitute in p equals 6. So t equals 18 divided by 6, which would give us 3. Cool. There's that question done. On with the next. Okay, so y is inversely proportional to the square of x. So proportion questions aren't always just about x and y. They are always, sometimes obviously they are about other letters too. But what I mean is sometimes we get powers of x or y as well. So here we do have y is inversely proportional to the square of x. Now be very careful with that. That's not saying the square root of x. It's saying the square of x. So that means x squared. So our proportion that we're going to write down is y is proportional to 1 over x squared. So the equation that we're going to be using is y equals k over x squared. Okay, so now we've set up the equation. We use the initial conditions to find the value of k. So when y equals 2, x equals 5. Let's substitute that in. So when y equals 2, we get 2 equals k over 5 squared, which is 25. Therefore, if we multiply 3 by 25, we get k is equal to 50. And then we know our exact formula linking y and x. Y is equal to 50 over x squared. Jobs are given. Find y when x equals 2. Okay, so we can do that now because we know our formula linking the two together. So find y when x equals 2. We would get y equals 50 over 2 squared is 4. Now 50 divided by 4 is 12.5. So when x is equal to 2, y is equal to 12.5. Jobs are good. Okay, example 4. So the numbers don't always stay nice and small or easy to deal with, and this is a good example of just that. So the time, T seconds, it takes to boil a mass of water is inversely proportional to the power B watts supplied. When P equals 1400, T equals 360. Find T when P equals 900. Okay, so what can we take from that first sentence? T is inversely proportional to 1 over P. So the equation that we're going to be using is T equals K over P. So that's that first sentence, the time T is inversely proportional to the power P, turned into an equation. So now we need to find our initial conditions. So what we've got when P equals 1400, T equals 360. So our mission as ever then is to use those to find the value of K. So we would get 360 is equal to K divided by P, which is 1400. Then to find K, we multiply both sides by 1400, turn to your calculator, and you will get 504,000. So now we know the exact formula linking T and P. T is equal to 504,000 divided by P. So 504,000, quite a big number there. So then we can finish off the question, find T when P equals 900. So to do that, we just substitute in P equals 900. So we get T equals 504,000 divided by 900. Now definitely use your calculator again, and you will get 560 seconds. And that's our answer. Job's a good one. Okay, we're going to look at one more question. Okay, so example 5. The force of attraction F of two magnets is inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them D. When D equals 3, F equals 4. So again, we've got one here where we need to be careful of the language. F is inversely proportional to the square of D. So again, that doesn't mean the square root of D, that means D squared. So first thing we can write down then is F is proportional to 1 over D squared. So F is equal to K over D squared. Job's a good one. So that's the sentence turned into an equation. So now we need to, as ever, find our value of K. So we use our initial conditions. Now when D equals 3, F equals 4. So we substitute those in. So we get 4 equals K over 3 squared. 3 squared is 9. So if we multiply both sides by 9, we get K equals 36. So the exact formula linking F and D together is Y equals 36 over D squared. So now we can do part A of the question. Find F when D is equal to 2. Sorry, that Y there should be an F. So we get F equals 36 over D squared. Okay, so now we can do part A of the question. Find F when D is equal to 2. So we just substitute in D equals 2. We're going to get F equals 36. 2 squared is 4. So we got 36 divided by 4, which gives us 9. So when D is 2, F is equal to 9. And then finally, find D when F is 64. So we substitute F equals 64 into our formula. So again, remember our formula is F equals 36 divided by d squared. So now we know then that f is equal to 64. So we've got 64 is equal to 36 over d squared. Now what we've got going on here, we've got a square number on the left, 64 is a square number, and 36 over d squared is a square number too, because 36 is a square and d squared is a square. So what we can do here is square root on both sides, so we will get 8 is equal to 6 over d. So all we've done again is square root everything, because everything was square. Perfectly allowed to do that. If we multiply by the d, we get 8d equals 6. Divide by 8, we get d is equal to 6 divided by 8, which is the same as 3/4. So e is 3/4 when f is 64. Okay guys, hope that's been helpful. Was this video helpful? If so, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button and leave me a comment letting me know how you get on. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you never miss any videos. For any further information, you can find me on Facebook or Twitter. Search for Maths with Melv. Cheers guys.